Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope you're doing really well. My name is HUMNA and I created this channel where I could share all about art, healing and spirituality. Today when I was sitting down and doing my download, what came to me was that the word of Allah, His book, is all about insights for humanity, a guidance from the Malik, which is beneficial for faithful people. And the word faithful really stayed in my heart. We call ourselves faithful, but our hearts have idols in them of the society, of our culture, and century-old traditions. We value relationships of this world and focus on them, not realizing that the love of Allah needs to be way beyond any relationships, any career obligation, any societal pressure. Our hearts need to be full of faith in Allah, filled with love for Him first, and then for all that He chooses to place in our heart. Anyone taking space before Allah in our hearts is an idol that makes our heart heavy, dark, and attached to this dunya. When you really go into the depth of understanding what it means to be faithful, you really burn down all your idols, or rather you need to burn down all your idols and remove the obstacles between you and your Allah by emptying your heart. Now, most people go through this thing called ego death, and ego death is basically trying to awaken your soul and see the world for that how the Creator created it, rather than how you choose for it to exist in your reality. For whatever it is that you think is one thing, and what the Creator created is one thing. And to be able to see the world, relationships, career, and all that is in the creation through the eyes of Allah, through the lens of Qur'an, connecting it to the message of the Prophet ﷺ, it is in that moment we realize that we have been so attached by the relationships, so attached and distracted by everything around us, focusing on fashion, focusing on our career, focusing on being married, focusing on all these things and people that are around us, that we never really get the chance to build our relationship with Allah. Our heart is always constantly filled with responsibilities, things we have to do, how can we serve better, how can we become better in this world, and there's this constant need to become something for someone and serve them. And the funny part is that we think that by taking care of people, we're actually getting closer to Allah. But you won't get closer to Allah when you are taking care of people and hurting yourself. You see, there is this understanding that abandon your own self, reject your own being, and just keep taking care of other people, and it's all good because that's what's going to make Allah happy. And most of us have grown up thinking that that's what will get us to Jannat, because everybody around me is happy, and so I'm doing something great. But what happens is, if you are doing that without first making yourself equally important, if not more, then what you're doing is you are disrespecting the first thing and the only thing that Allah made you responsible of first, right? Which is you, your soul, your heart, your mind, and your body. And by taking care of others and working overtime and, doing more for your loved ones, one thinks that that's how we're going to get close to Allah and we're doing the right thing. But when you are pleasing and serving all those people around you, they are in your heart. And so we have to ask ourselves that if we're doing everything to keep them happy, what is it that we are doing in our day to keep Allah happy, right? And when and only because the book of Allah is for the faithful, the hearts that are filled with faith, meaning there is nothing else in the heart but the faith of the only one. It is only then when we will be able to understand Quran in the depths of depths, like that's when Quran will make sense to us. And because our hearts are filled with other people's needs and desires and dreams and whatever, we're so busy giving ourselves off to everyone around us that we don't have time to value the people who can bring us closer to Allah. So we serve these people, we go to work, we earn money, or we satisfy the people who are in our lives. But in return, they are constantly hurting us, degrading us, belittling us, devaluing us with people you feel like jobs or people, whichever one. And you feel like, oh my God, I'm going to die if I work here another day. And you're draining your soul. They're like vampires sucking the energy out of you, and you're still just sitting there and allowing it to happen. You're tolerating abuse. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why is your heart filled with the desire to love them, serve them, and be good to them? Why is your focus on pleasing them when they are in return making you feel unworthy? When you are not being seen by them, heard by them, valued by them, how long are you going to let that be your life? Do you really think that Allah would have created you so that you could just choose a path where you just sit there and get abused? How can that be Allah? How can Allah, the one who says, I am Rahman and Rahim, want you to be in places with people and careers where you are not reaching your highest potential? For He gave you a light of Himself in you. You carry a soul that comes from the heavens that is limitless. How is your heart filled with idols to satisfy on this world when you actually belong to Allah? Your heart belongs to Allah. How have you been breaking your heart? And how do you think you're going to face Allah when you meet Him and say, I've got a broken heart and I got this because I took care of everybody else but myself? And then Allah is going to ask you, but why didn't you take care of yourself along with taking care of others? For isn't that why He made you human, to learn how to balance it? And so when we think about Quran will not make sense to you, or the message basically, if you think symbolically, the word of Allah. If Allah has written a whole book for you to be guided back to Him, it's not going to make sense to a heart that does not have Allah in it. It's just a book with words, because you're just going to read it. You probably will memorize it, and you'll just kind of read it once or twice in your lifetime, or when you go to a Quran Khani and just read it, but then that's pretty much it, right? It's not going to make sense to you till your heart is open to receiving all that it is saying. It's just your mind absorbing it and reading it, but it's not living it. So if you think about Quran, when you think about the book that He wrote for us, so that it's kind of like an instruction manual, that if when our machinery goes wrong, we're able to open Quran and get the message that He wants us to receive from the book. And if our hearts are blocked, if we are the slave of the society and we haven't got love in our heart for Allah, how do you think the heart's going to be able to make sense of the message? So Qur'an is the word of Allah. It is how Allah speaks to us. How is Allah going to speak to you if your heart is not focused or even inclined to know more about Allah? If you are constantly in pleasing mode to people and your focus has always been your relationships and your career and the money and the car and the bank balance and whatever you've been focusing on other than Allah, that thing has gone and stayed in your heart. And anything of this dunya is dense, is of lower vibration, and that makes your heart go black. So when you go to Allah, when you will meet Allah, inshallah, you will go with a heart that's black. And you don't want to do that. And so when Allah says, sends us the Qur'an so that we can connect, and it's like a manual that we can keep coming back towards Him and stay close to Him, it is Allah saying to us that my word, my message will only make sense when you clean your heart and fill it with my love. For if you are going to block it with other people being in your heart before Allah, those are your idols that you've been worshipping. And if you've been worshipping idols and people and relationships and career and all your needs and desires and ego, then truly your heart is not full of faith, your heart is full of fear. A faithful heart can have sadness, can grief, can be lonely, but would not have fear, right? I don't even want to say lonely. It's probably a faithful heart would be in solitude with its master. So when we understand Quran speaks to a faithful heart, it means that we need to focus on our hearts. We need to fill our hearts with the faith in Allah's message, in the faith of His love, to have faith in His mercy. When our heart is filled with His love, His mercy, His light, automatically Quran will be that what will keep bringing us closer to Him, keep reminding us of Him. And only then Quran will make sense and we will believe in what the book is saying rather than questioning it or doubting it. And constantly we put our jobs before Allah. We've put our jobs, careers, wives, husbands, children, everything, mother, father, everyone has been before Allah. Let me just take my daughter to school and then I'll sit back and read my Quran, or if I get the chance after I've done all my chores, then I'll sit and just kind of do my namaz right at the end of the day. Maybe if I catch Isha, great, but if not, that's also okay. And that's the sad part. We have pushed Allah right towards the end, like, oh, we'll do it when we get the time. But rather, everything else needs to be after, and Allah needs to be before everything else. And if He's not everything, if He's not before everything, then your heart is not filled with faith. Your heart is filled with other things, and your focus is going to be on other things. And that's where the shift needs to happen. We need to become more conscious of our reality, that we're not here to party. We're not here to just live through and get through life. We're here to see the world, appreciate it as a creation of God that was created for you and me to be reminded of Him. We're not just here drifting aimlessly. There is purpose in your existence, and that is your connection with your Creator. The reason you exist is so that you could worship Allah. And how do you worship Allah? When you are connected to Allah, when you are curious about Allah, when He is your priority. And if He's not your priority, that means your heart is filled with other things, other responsibilities, other people. And what that does is automatically blocks your heart. It comes between you and your Allah. And so when you die and you're in front of Allah, there are going to be like billions of people between you and Allah. And you'll be like, oh, I did this because, this one would be happy. Oh, I did that because that one would be happy. Let me tell you something very clearly. That's not going to save your akhirat. That is not going to be pleasing Allah. What pleases Allah is that you take the responsibility of yourself and you stand up for your rights and you understand that Allah comes before every relationship and everything that you need to do in this life, before your career, before the money you want to earn, before your children, before your wife, before your parents. When Allah is not before you and He wants to, He loves you, He will remove all other people between you and Him, and that is painful. It is painful when you lose people because of your own lack of appreciation of who Allah is. Because you chose other people above Allah, He can turn you towards Him by gifting you tests and experiences where you will lose all the people. So why not value the people after Allah and have them in your life and not lose them and stay connected to Allah? Understand that whoever is in your life, people, career, job, whatever, is a blessing from Him. And so to value it so deeply that your heart is filled with gratitude for Allah for gifting you all the things that He has gifted you with. In that way, you stay grounded, you stay present, and you're in surrender because your heart is then filled with faith. And when your heart is filled with faith, you automatically are connected to the word of Allah. And it's such an important reminder for all of us that the reason we are so disconnected with Qur'an is because our hearts are not faithful. And Allah says that it is a book that speaks to the heart that's faithful. So we need to really focus on what it is that is consuming our heart. Where is our attention going? What are we focused on? If it's not Him, if it's not love, it's not light, then what is it? Is it on things that stress us, make us feel little, regret? What are we carrying in our heart? Guilt, shame? What is it that is within our heart? Because all these lower level vibrational emotions are going to fill your heart up, and one day it's going to collapse and you're going to be standing in front of Allah with a heart that is black in color, and you don't want that. You really don't want that. But if this message reaches you and helps you to remember Allah, please keep me in your du'as. Follow me, follow the channel, like and share and subscribe. Share the video with other people you think could benefit from such messages. And also, if you'd like to book for one-to-one session for any kind of spiritual clarity, you can message me and I can share the details of how you can book for one-to-one. And also, if you want to join my Friday sessions, which are at 11 a.m. UK time, where you can see and meet with me, and connecting together we create artworks that are inspired by the names of Allah and the ayat of Qur'an, then you're most welcome to contact me and I can share the Zoom link with you and you can join in from anywhere on the planet. And so I also offer all the sessions that helped me change my life, connect to Allah, become the creative being that He chose and wanted me to be, speak my truth, become authentic. I have shared all those videos, all those sessions, so that you too can become your own healer. You don't have to go run around people and look for somebody who can help you and heal you. all the information is there. You don't even have to do the art if you don't want to. If you just listen to the sessions just as a way of connecting to the word of Allah and getting to know Him and being close to Him as a reminder, then this Patreon is truly for you. It's a passion project of mine. It is something that I do completely out of love for my Allah, and it is what I believe is my soul's calling, to remind people of how they can create with Allah through their creativity, for He is the creator and you are the creation. And through creativity, you can not only express yourself better, but you can heal yourself and you can connect to your Allah and tune into your intuition and live a life of meaning and purpose, inshallah. I'm sending you lots of love, light, and peace, everyone. Enjoy yourselves and have an absolutely magical day. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Allah Hafiz.